Right, yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All right, so we continue with the intangible asset topic. Right, so basically, as we proceed now, this one is the second part. Okay, so acquisition is part of business combination. Okay, we can see here in business combination, the acquirer is to recognize at the date of acquisition all the identifiable intangible asset of the acquiree separately from goodwill. As mentioned several times in the class, goodwill is not part of intangible asset under MFRS 138. Okay, so therefore it's separately from goodwill. Right. So this identifiable asset, identifiable intangible, could be those were recognized and those were have not been recognized by the acquirer. So mean that if the acquirer did not notice that they got a license, for example, so you as the acquirer can recognize this as intangible asset, right? So the acquirer should recognize in process research and development project of the acquiree if meet the definition of intangible, and its fair value can be measured reliably. So in other words, actually, one part of intangible asset that can be recognized is development, and this intangible asset will be measured at fair value, which is quoted market price in active market, right? So nothing. So we proceed again with the next slide. Acquisition by the way of government grant. So we learn from the MFRS 1 to 0 topic of government grant, right? So intangible asset acquired free of charge. So in this case, it's actually intangible asset is acquired by the government when the government give you something like, for example, a license to conduct a few things, or a few business, all right, or for a nominal consideration. Okay, nominal consideration is the minimal cost that you need to pay, for example, legal fees and everything, by way of government grant are measured initially at fair value or cost. All right. As been mentioned in the previous topic, in government grant topic, when you receive asset a free of charge, like what we learned in MFRS 120, we learned when the company receive a tangible asset. So in this case, if the company receive intangible asset, basically the way to treat is similar. All right, so we are going to treat our asset either using a fair value or using a nominal value. All right, so this is example. Okay, Metro Express was given the right to construct and operate elusive tram line for 15 years. So the tram line cost is 100 million and the tram cost is 60 million. So the company paid, so I change color. The company paid 25 million earnest money for the tender, and then got award and incurred a legal and other administrative fees by 55,000. So you can see here the fair value is 4 million. So in this case, actually, by right, tram line and tram cost is not intangible, right? Tram line and tram cost is tangible asset. Therefore, it is fall under MFRS 416 because it is tangible asset. Right. When we go to intangible asset, how much should we record the cost? So again, we can record either at fair value, which is 4 million. Okay, again, fair value 4 million, fair value 4 million, or the nominal value. Nominal value is what? The earnest money plus with legal fees and admin. All right. So this is the nominal value or nominal cost. So either way, you can recognize at 4 million or 80,000. Either way should be fine. Right. So the next part is the exchange of asset. All right. So basically, you acquire an intangible asset by change to another asset. So the cost of intangible asset acquired is of course at fair value. If the exchange transaction is lack of as a commercial substance, or the fair value of neither the asset, neither received nor given up can be measured reliably. So then we are going to follow a carrying amount, right? So by right, you want to change an asset with an asset. So we value the asset based on the fair value. Unless the asset cannot be valued by fair value, we value the asset based on the carrying amount, right? So next part is internally generated intangible asset. So again, verse 138 prohibits the recognition of internally generated goodwill, has been mentioned several times again. So internally generated brand, match hit, publishing title, customer list cannot be recognized as intangible asset. Again, why it cannot be recognized as intangible asset? Because it is difficult in identifying whether and when there is an identifiable asset that will generate expected future economic benefit. So in this case, determine the cost of asset reliability. In some case actually, the cost of generating intangible asset cannot be distinguished from the cost of maintaining. That's the reason why internally generated is not allowed actually. Internally generated is not allowed because we not sure whether it is an asset we generate or it is just a expansion program of the company. So cannot be distinguished cost of maintaining or enhancing the entity generated asset or running the operation. We cannot distinguish this actually. So the identifiable is not there. So remember, for us to have intangible asset, we need to identify. One of the criteria is identifiable. Right. So the next part is research and development. Okay. So for the research part, the research is activity to obtain a new knowledge. Anything that you do to obtain a new knowledge. For example, if you want to sell something like tudung, for example, I do a market survey. They want for me to obtain a new knowledge. So obtain a new knowledge cannot lie. Obtain a new knowledge cannot. The search for process or firm alternative, the promotion instead or improve product or process alternative. Right. So accounting treatment by this is all recognized as expenses or recognized as expenses. While if it is a development, okay, if it is a development, we can capitalize if it meet the following criteria. So you can see here there is a six criteria. So the entity has technical feasibility of completing the intangible asset that will be available for use or sales. Technical feasibility, have the person or have the technical person to complete the project. The entity intend to complete the intangible asset. If you have a design, if you have a pattern, but you cannot complete the pattern, if you cannot complete the research, then cannot also lie. The entity has the ability to use or sales the intangible asset. If we do this, but we do for others, we do for others, other pay us, right? So it is not our intangible asset, it is their intangible asset, right? So intangible asset will generate a future economic benefit in certain situation when you do a research and development, but you cannot use this to generate a future economic benefit. Not at all, just for fun, just for hobby. So this one also not your intangible asset. The asset has adequate technical, financial, and other resource to complete the development and to use or sales the intangible asset. Okay, the cost incurred during development can be measured reliably. So you can see here all this information. As long as you plan to finish, you want to finish, you have expertise to finish, and the cost all can be measured, so it can be recorded under development, which is you capitalize it. Right? All right. Okay. So next, development costs that capitalize are all costs incurred from the date of intangible asset first meet the recognition criteria, including all the six criteria. Right. So costs comprise all directly attributable costs and the costs and necessary to create, produce, and prepare the asset for its intended use. Example of directly attributable costs are cost of material and service consumed, personnel cost. Personnel mean that the workers are salary, wages, fees to register the legal right, amortization of patent and license that used to generate. So in phase 1 to 3, a borrowing cost also allow borrowing cost. Again, when we learn phase 1 to 3, we know that phase 1 to 3 can be capitalized during the development, during the manufacturing, right? If you want to build a building, we borrow, then the interest during the construction can be capitalized. So same goes for intangible asset, right? Same goes for intangible asset. The interest cost during the development process can be capitalized until the development is complete and finished, right? Okay, so yes. Next example. All right. So this example, entity is developing a new computer software. During the year X4, the expenditure incurred was 120,000, of which 100,000 was incurred before 1st October X4, and the balance incurred October to December X4. So in this question, what the question asked us, on 1st October X4, entity was able to demonstrate the project can meet all the recognition criteria of the intangible asset. In other words, actually, this project can be recognized as intangible asset start from 1st of October to 20x4. Alright, you see, the total cost incurred is 120,000. 100,000 is incurred before 1st of October. After 1st of October, only 20,000 incurred, right? Okay, so in this case, the answer in X5, the cost incurred was 60,000. At the end of X5, the recoverable amount was 75,000, right? So in this case, again, 100,000 will be write-off as expenses because it is before 1st of October X4. Before 1st of October X4. What about the balance 20,000? 20,000 can be recognized and capitalized as an asset. So again, from 120,000, only 20,000 can be capitalized because it is after 1st of October X4. Okay. All right. So next, what else? And in X5, the cost incurred is 60,000. So the 60,000 can be capitalized as an asset. All right. So now, how much our carrying amount of our asset? So 20 plus 60. So it's total of 80,000. All right. Okay. So next, what else? We know that the 100,000 that incurred before we recognize or before we capitalize here, we cannot be, this one is before we capitalize, this one we cannot reinstate. Cannot reinstate mean that we cannot recognize as asset, even though after 1st of October we can recognize. So the cost incurred after 1st of October only we can recognize as an asset, right? So now in this case, right, 80,000, right? But the recoverable amount is 75,000. Okay, remember, if you have a goodwill, if you have an intangible asset, we need to check whether there is impairment loss or not. So in this case, what if our recoverable amount is 75,000. Carrying amount is 80,000. So in this case, we can see there is a impairment loss. So how to calculate the impairment loss? The difference between 75,000 and 80,000. So when we calculate the difference, we get the difference is 5,000. So by right, this 5,000, we are going to charge to statement of profit or loss or other comprehensive income as an expenses. Okay, as an expenses. This one is expenses. All right. So next, the amount disclosed as intangible asset in financial statement will be 75,000, which is after minus with impairment loss. All right. So this is for part 2.